want to find that drive and focus that has you locked in and on fire every single day, my book, The Mirror of Motivation, will do it for you. I bought a copy for you. You take care of the shipping. The book is free. Click the link down there. I got you.
You're
in the right place at the right time, tuned into the show where you learn the discipline to show up day after day to do the work, the confidence to put yourself out there boldly and authentically, and the mental toughness to continue showing up, doing the work, putting yourself out there even when the success you've expected to achieve is yet to be achieved. And on top of all of this, there's more. You're gonna get a huge dose of personal initiative. This is the go-getter energy that moves you to make things happen instead of waiting for things to happen. Putting all this together, what you get is the mindset, the method, the philosophy, the book. If you don't have the book, go get it. And the podcast known as Work on Your Game. My name is Dre Baldwin, also known as Dre All Day, and welcome to the show. Today's topic is how to master your anti-people skills. We all have these anti-people skills. Another way that I could title today's episode, I could also call this how to not be annoying, or how to not make people want to get away from you. All right, these are the things that we're going to be talking about in today's episode. I could also call this how to check yourself for your personal flaws. And these are all things that we need to be cognizant of, we need to be conscious about, we need to be paying attention to, since most people that we deal with, at least the people who are willing to talk to us, people who are willing to engage with us, the people who know us, like us, and trust us, they are usually too nice to tell you to your face if you have any annoying habits, if there are any things about you that would make people want to get away from you, if you have any personal flaws that they think you may think are strengths. If they think they're flaws, they probably won't tell you about them because they may anticipate that you will not react too positively to being told about them. So they may just keep quiet about it, but it doesn't mean they don't exist. Just because no one's told you that you're annoying doesn't mean you're not annoying. If no one's ever told you that people don't really like dealing with you, it doesn't mean that people actually like you. It may mean no one wants to deal with you, but they're just too nice to let you know about it. Maybe especially if you're in a position of authority where people kind of have to deal with you, but they don't really want to, you may be completely blind to all of this. This may be a huge blind spot in your life. If you have some personal flaws that no one has ever pointed out to you, it doesn't mean that you don't have flaws. It doesn't mean that you're perfect. It may just mean nobody's willing to tell you to your faces. Maybe they consider you to be a person who's not too open to constructive feedback. But here's the thing. I don't give a damn about any of that. I'm going to tell all of it to you, to your ear. I can't tell you to your face. You're watching me on video, I can tell you to your face. But if you're listening to me, I'm going to tell you in your ear right now how to master these anti-people skills that you might have. Okay, and I'm going to tell you how to, first of all, two things you're going to learn here today is, first of all, how to diagnose them if you have any anti-people skills. And second of all, what the hell to do about them. And I'm going to point out some principles that are anti-people skills that if you ever find yourself employing these habits, doing these things, these are things that will push people away from you. These are things that will annoy people. These are personal flaws that you need to catch yourself doing and stop doing them immediately. All right, cease and desist. Any of these things that I'm going to point out here today. So you're going to get all three of those here in today's episode. For this last reason alone, about these personal flaws and the fact that most of the people who know, like, and trust you are not going to tell you about these things to your face, or even if they do, they're not going to tell you in a way that you're actually going to listen. They kind of like, you ever know anyone who they'll tell you what they think if you prod and push them to really tell you how they really feel, they will tell you, but they tell you in such a soft way. They softball it to you in such a way that it doesn't even really seem like they mean it, even though they do, but they're just too nice to tell you. And this is not a flaw of people. Maybe it is a flaw. We'll talk about that in a different episode. Some people are just nice like that. Some people are just very considerate individuals. They like to be connected with other people, even when they're pissed off at you or upset with you, or they don't like something that you did. It would take a whole lot to get them to really tell you in a way that you're really going to listen to it. Some people are just like that. I'm not like that. I'm a person who will tell you directly when there's an issue. I'll make sure you understand that it's an issue. I'll make sure that you know that I'm talking to you about the issue. And that's why I'm the perfect person to be giving you this topic here today, because annoying, bad people skills people, you know something about them, they're often the only people who don't know that they have these problems. So if you're an annoying individual, you might not even know it because nobody's ever told you. And you might think that you're great because, look, nobody ever told me, so how could it possibly be a problem? Well, I'm here to tell you here today. So make sure you are taking notes. Listen to this episode more than once so you catch everything and don't miss anything, because I guarantee it's costing you possible relationships. The topic, once again, is how to master your anti-people skills. Point number one, you need to invest in some real talk. You need to invest in it. What are our 5 forms of investment? Time, money, attention, energy, focus. The first 2, especially. You need to invest some time into some real talk. And I just happen to have a category in the game group of episodes of this podcast in the category of real talk, where I have these kind of conversations and tell you some things that most people would probably never say to you, let alone say to your face. I say them to you through this show right here. There's a whole category of all those shows, and there are a bunch more that I didn't even put in there yet, but there are a bunch of them that will occupy your time and attention for right now. You need to go listen to them. That's in the game group membership. It's called Real Talk. That's the name of the category. This episode is going to go in there. You need to invest in some real talk. What does that mean? It means finding a person, or persons, plural, who know you well enough to know your strengths and weaknesses, and then you need to be mature enough and disciplined enough to ask them some revealing questions about yourself, such as, what are my worst habits? What about me is most off-putting to other people? What is my biggest area for personal improvement? If you happen to be, now I'm out of the questions. If you happen to be in an intimate relationship, you have a significant other, that person, they should be able to tell you these things to your face. First of all, let me tell you, they know the answers. Okay, the answers to those questions, they know them. And they may or may not be open to telling you to your face, but I would hope that they are able and confident enough to tell you to your face. And you should be mature enough to listen to them, because I 100% guarantee you they know. So are you man enough or woman enough to ask the question to that person? And are you man enough, woman enough to listen when they give you the answers? Because they have the answers and the answers are accurate. I'm 99% sure. You have close friends, business partners. They know the answers too. You had a discipline to ask and a mental toughness to listen. This is the real talk that you need to invest in. That investment, again, is first of all the time to ask the question. I already gave you some questions to ask. The discipline to listen to them, and the mental toughness to follow through once you get the answers. Maybe ask some follow-up questions. Don't get defensive about it. Have the confidence and not get defensive about it. Maybe you need to invest in the form of money. Maybe you need to hire yourself a coach or a consultant to come into your company and maybe give some real talk to everybody who works there. These are ways that you can get that real talk. You hire someone who can give you some real talk, they better be willing and able to give you some real talk. Otherwise, no point in paying them. You need to make these investments so you can find out what the hell is going on. If you're finding that you're not getting along the way that you want to when it comes to dealing with other people, you need to invest in this real talk, because there's something missing. Or maybe there's something that needs to get missing. It's something there that you need to get rid of, or something not there you need to add in. But if you're not willing to ask these questions and you're not willing to listen to the answers, then you're going to keep having these same problems over and over again. And I would assume if you're listening to this type of show, you're not the type of person who wants to keep having the same problems over and over again. You want to do something about them. So check yourself on this one right here. And please don't think that I'm not talking to you. Point number 2. Today's topic is how to master your anti-people skills. Number 2, exercise the golden rule. Everyone knows what the golden rule is, right? It is, do unto others as you would have others do unto you. So let me ask you a few questions about this golden rule. Do you enjoy it when a person talks too much about themselves and never listens to you? Do you like when you're talking to someone and they are obviously not listening, they're just waiting for their opportunity to speak? Do you like when a person is rude and inconsiderate? This is what I want you to do. Now, those are just open questions I want you to think about. You probably answered no to all 3 of them, but I want you to check yourself and ask yourself, have you ever done any of these things? And maybe you don't think you're doing them. This is probably why you keep doing them. So that's why you need to go back to point number 1 and invest in some real talk with somebody who will tell you to your face. Most of your friends will not tell you. Your friends won't tell you. You may have a couple of friends. If you're lucky, you have more than one friend who will tell you to see your face. If you have one who will tell you to see your face, keep that friend close, because you need them. They're going to tell you some things that nobody else in your life is going to tell you that you absolutely need to hear, that you absolutely need to listen to. You got to be disciplined enough to listen to that person, because they're probably going to tell you some stuff that you don't like, that you probably don't want to hear in that moment. And they may tell it to you in such a way that you don't want to hear it. Because if they're the type of person to tell you these things, they're also the type of person who might not give too much of a damn about your feelings. So you got to be mature enough to listen to this person when they tell you what they tell you. And often many people are not. So they push these people away. And now you don't have anything. You don't have any real talkers around you. Therefore, you got a bunch of people telling you what you want to hear, or not telling you the things that you need to hear. Just nobody tells you. It's not that people are always telling you what you want to hear, but nobody's telling you what you need to hear. Therefore, you delude yourself into believing everything's perfect when it's absolutely not. But your results should be telling you exactly what's going on. That's why, again, you have this show right here to let you know if you're not getting the type of results you want, there's some kind of real conversation that you're not having and or not listening to that is causing this problem to perpetuate itself. That's why it keeps happening over and over again, because you're not fixing the problem. And you don't have anyone around you to point out that there's a problem, and or you don't have anyone around you to help you fix it. You need to fix those problems. Those are both your jobs to do. So you need to, this is what I want you to do. We're still on point number 2. Make a list of things that you have experienced other people doing, or that other people have done to you or around you that you really do not appreciate. Make that list. Things that I don't appreciate. I don't appreciate when somebody talks over me. I don't like when somebody doesn't say hello when I say hello to them. I don't like when someone is not listening to me. I don't like when someone interrupts me when I'm speaking. Make a list of all the things that you have experienced other people doing, or saw people doing, or they've done it directly to you that you really do not like. Make that list. All right, it's probably going to be a nice size list. All right, write all those things down. Then what you're going to do is go back to the top of the list, and you're going to ask yourself, have I ever done any of these things? Do I do any of these things? Then go back to that real talk person that you invested time and or money into talking to, and go down the list with them and ask them, yo, do I ever do this? Number 1. Do I ever do number 2? Do I ever do number 3? Do I ever do number 4? Just go down the list and let them tell you. I guarantee you will learn more about yourself, and that, who knows how long that conversation will take. But in that time, that conversation, you'll learn more about yourself than you'll learn in 10 years of reading books. But you got to be willing to ask the question, and you got to be disciplined enough to listen to the answers. Point number 3. Today's topic is how to handle your anti-people skills, the skills that are sending people away from you, pushing people away from you rather than drawing people towards you. You need to start taking no for an answer. Yes, you heard me correctly. You need to start taking no for an answer. You know how the saying goes, never take no for an answer. There are times in life when it makes sense to not take no for an answer. You got a certain goal that you've decided this is the main thing that you're going to achieve. So you go to the first person, they say no, second person says no. You just keep going. There's a saying that says you can have anything you want. You're willing to ask 1,000 people for it, right? In my book, Work on Your Game, I talked about how the cleaning agent Formula 409. Everybody knows about Formula 409, that green spray bottle you use to clean things up. They call it Formula 409 because it took them 409 experiments to find the right mix of the solution that you can buy in the stores right now. So they went through 400 plus experiments of not getting it right before they got to the one that they wanted. Each one that didn't go right, you can call that a no. They didn't take no for an answer until they got what they wanted. There's another saying that says average people practice till they get something right, and great people practice till they can't get it wrong. They don't take that no for an answer. They get to the point where all they get is a yes for an answer. That is a great motivating quote, I guess we can call that. But there are other times in life. Actually, let me tell you, there's another example with Harlan Sanders, the guy who started Kentucky Fried Chicken, Colonel Sanders, where he didn't start the company till he was in his 50s or 60s, maybe it was even his 70s. And he got told no by all these people. Finally got to somebody who said yes to him, and he became a success, like Kentucky Fried Chicken. So these are all these exceptional stories of people who didn't take no for an answer, and they became successes eventually. Or you'll hear some story of maybe some NFL player gets a big contract, or an NBA player gets a contract extension worth a whole bunch of money, and then you'll hear all the stories. Oh, this person barely played in their high school team, and they didn't get any scholarship offers, and they were living in their car, and they had to walk on to this team, and nobody believed in them. Now they got this big contract. Anything's possible, which makes everybody think they can be the exception to when most people are going to be the rule, but that's a whole different subject. I'm telling you all of those to tell you this. There are times in life when things are not looking right, when things are not working, when you are not getting the kind of results that you thought you would get as a result of your actions. There's a reason for it. Actually, there's always a reason. Sometimes the reason is not you just need to keep going. Sometimes the reason is not try again. Sometimes the reason is not I just want to see if you're going to keep fighting for this. Sometimes the reason that you get denied something is not because the world or the universe is testing you to keep trying and keep doing the same thing over and over again until you get the result. Sometimes a no really means no. Sometimes a no means you're trying in the wrong place. You need to walk away. You need to go do something else. You are doing the wrong thing. This is not the way to go about it. Sometimes that's what no means. Any of you ever saw the movie Hitch? I remember this scene where, what was the woman's name? Eva Mendes, I believe, was the main character, female, in the movie. The main guy was Will Smith. So in this movie, Eva Mendes, she's this woman who's sitting in a bar. So she gets seen, some guy who's like a kind of like a pickup artist type dude. He sees Eva sitting in the bar and she's really attractive. So he notices her and he walks right up to her and he starts, laying down his game. So he has his lines that he's saying, and it appears the way that Eva is responding to him, first of all, she's not interested in him. And second of all, she's already heard all of these pickup lines before, because obviously guys have tried her before. So she lets the guy know in a calm but direct way, I'm not interested. She actually says those words, I'm not interested. And then the guy, he has a line for that. He has a response to that, because obviously as a pickup artist, he's been trained that when a woman says she's not interested, there's a way to respond to that. So he responds with his next line, and Eva laughs at him. She giggles and she says to him, sir, she said his name. She said, when I say I'm not interested, that doesn't mean try harder. And eventually she's trying to get rid of him. Eventually Will Smith comes over and pretends to be her boyfriend or husband and gets rid of the guy. And the guy's kind of pissed off that he couldn't get the girl. But the whole point, the reason that I'm sharing you this story is this. Sometimes when somebody tells you no, they really mean no. It doesn't mean try harder. It doesn't mean keep going. It doesn't mean offer another way to go about doing the exact same thing. Sometimes you're just in the wrong place at the wrong time. Sometimes you're talking to the wrong person. Sometimes you are the wrong person. Sometimes you need to take no for an answer. Speaking of this story that I just gave you with the movie Hitch, ladies who listen to the show, let me ask you a question. Have you ever encountered a male who had this exact same problem? I'm sure you have. Now listen, I don't go through this in my life, but I've seen in person, in the flesh, I've seen males do this, having this problem of not knowing when to take no for an answer. I've seen it. I have male friends who have this problem of not knowing when to take no for an answer. I'm sure, ladies, you've dealt with this, especially if you live in a city, especially if you happen to walk. If you happen to go out about in a city and you walk from one place to another on a consistent basis, I'm sure you deal with this, especially if you traverse on public transportation. I'm sure you deal with this because I've seen it. I've walked. I've been on public transportation. I'm from a city. I live in a city. I see this stuff. It's not as prevalent here in Miami where I live, but where I'm from, any of you from the northeastern part of America, man, this is like a sport. So I know you've dealt with this. There are people out there who just don't know when to take no. In my experience in life, just in general, whether it's a heterosexual male trying to talk to a girl, trying to pick up a woman at a bar or anything, in my experience, just overall though, doesn't even have to be in a dating type of thing, males seem to have this problem much more than females. This problem of not knowing when to take no for an answer. I think the main reason why is that males, we have testosterone. And testosterone drives aggression and this drive to just keep trying and keep going and try a different angle and do the same thing over and over again. Formula 409, keep doing it over and over again until you get the result. This is more of a male trait than a female trait. So males who are listening to this, all right, for the most part, this point is about you. Learn when to take no for an answer and go somewhere else. Don't try a different approach. All right, don't come up with a different line. Go somewhere else with your request or your action or your whatever it is you're trying to achieve. It's just not going to work where you're at. Listen to this that I'm about to tell you. When you do something, say something, do something, take some action, and people respond to it in a way that you want them to respond, that's a response. That's what you want, right? You got a positive response from your action, okay? That's one way that things can go. Now, let me tell you another way it can go. You do something, you say something, you initiate some action, whether through speaking, through words, or whatever it is you're doing, and people don't respond at all. Understand something. That's a response as well. No response is a response. If you text somebody and they don't text you back, all right, that's a response. They're letting you know something loud and clear. Now, maybe is the wrong number. All right. Maybe they didn't get the text. So just maybe you could try one more time just to make sure they got the first one. All right. And if they give you the same no response the next time, they're giving you a loud and clear response. All right. You, testosterone driven male, you're just not listening. You must learn what I'm telling you in this third point. We're still on point number 3. The topic today is mastering your anti-people skills. You must learn when to take no for an answer. You got to read between the lines. You know what reading between the lines means, ladies and gentlemen? That means hearing what people are not saying. All right. And a lot of times, as I already told you at the top of this episode, most people in life are nice. Most people are considerate. Most people are not looking for confrontation. Most people, when they perceive that a confrontation may happen as a result of them saying a certain thing, they just won't say it. They just won't tell you. They'll just let it go and hope that you figure it out on your own. That's how most people think. Okay. Therefore, you must learn to read between the lines. When someone won't tell you directly, I'm not interested, they're still telling you that they're not interested. All right, this is a people skill that you must develop. This is not about them. Now, while we could all wish that everyone was so blunt and open and honest and said exactly what they thought all the time, we probably don't want that. All right, that wouldn't be, I don't think that world would be the world wouldn't be the world. Okay. We wouldn't have the interactions that we have. Humans wouldn't be as we know ourselves to be if that was how it actually was. We should keep it the way it is right now because we can't change other people. I already did an episode on that. Now, it's much easier for us to change ourselves than it is to change everybody else in the world. And as we talked about in yesterday's episode, how do you think win-win? How can you help everyone else while also helping yourself? Here's the key way to do it. Stop trying to force your fill in the blank, your ideas, your interaction, your requests, your comments, your whatever it is you're trying to force into a situation, the situation not responding to you. You can help the whole situation and help yourself by ceasing your efforts. You help the situation because it doesn't have to keep ignoring you or keep giving you signals that it's not interested. And you help yourself because you can stop wasting your most valuable resource, time, also your energy, also your attention and your focus on something that is obviously not responding to you. Learn to read between the lines and take no for an answer. There's a reason why I'm spending more time on this point than I spent the whole rest of this episode combined. I hope you're reading between the lines on that. There is an art to this, ladies and gentlemen, reading between the lines. There are times in life, and the reason there's an art to it because I already gave you these examples. I told you there's an example of some football player who didn't play in high school, had to walk on in college, was on a practice team, was living in his car. Then he signs a contract for $50 million. He never gave up. All right. There's an example of Harlan Sanders, who was 70 some years old, started KFC, and now he's famous. Everybody knows his name. There's an example of Formula 409, 409 attempts before they got the right solution for this famous cleaning agent. There are times when you should persist and you should keep going and you could become the exception. You could become the 1 in a million story. You could become the person that everyone talks about. Like, wow, this person kept going and look how they were able to achieve their outcome. The same way I told you that story in the movie Hitch. This one guy is a pickup artist trying to talk to this really attractive woman and kept trying his different ways of getting at her. And she just wasn't interested. And he ended up walking away because he couldn't get her. But there are other stories. I guarantee there are stories out there of men who are married to women who, when they first met that woman, the woman was not interested in them. I've heard these stories. I've heard women tell these stories. I didn't like this dude. He's not my type. I don't like people who do this thing. I think he's too fat. I think he's too skinny. I think he's too short. I think he's too tall. He's too sweaty. I've heard stories of women say these things. People that I personally know that I didn't like him at first, but he persisted and I ended up with this guy. Now I'm married to him. He's the love of my life. That's why this is an art. All right, so sometimes you should keep going and sometimes you should walk away. This is a skill that you must develop. You only develop this by dealing with more people, investing in some real talk, exercising the golden rule, all of these things that I've talked about already here today. This is how you develop the art. All right, you don't develop art just by thinking about it. You develop art by experience. There are times to persist and there are times to walk away. A key anti-people skill that a lot of people have, an anti-skill. Okay, this is a skill that's making you worse. It's something that you do really well, but it's not helping you. Okay, that's an anti-skill. Is not knowing the art. Is not understanding the art of when to walk away, when to stop talking, when to stop trying, when to stop offering, when to stop commentating, When to stop digging yourself deeper into that hole. All right, everyone knows the rule of being in a hole, right? The first rule of being in a hole, stop digging. A key anti-people skill, I'll repeat, is not understanding the art of when to use which ability. When to keep going and when to give it up. Now, if you follow what I've said here today, you'll get better at this. Let's recap the topic so you remember. Point number 1. Today's topic, once again, is how to master your anti-people skills. We could also title this episode, How to Not Be Annoying, How to Not Make People Want to Get Away From You, and How to Check Yourself for Your Personal Flaws. Because most of the people that you know, that you deal with, people who know, like, and trust you, most of them probably wouldn't be your friends if they always pointed out the things that you do that are annoying, that make people want to get away from you, that are personal flaws of yours. They wouldn't be your friends if they were always pointing these things out to you because they're too nice to tell you to your face. I'm not. So for this reason alone, it's a very important topic. Point number 1, invest in some real talk. What does this mean? Finding a person who knows you well enough. That means they've dealt with you enough that they know these things, not just a random person, but they dealt with you enough, or they will deal with you enough. Let's say if you hire somebody, they're going to get to know you, who knows your strengths, knows your weaknesses, and they will answer the questions that you ask, such as, what are my worst habits? What about me is most off-putting to others? What is my biggest area for improvement? If you're in an intimate relationship, that person should be, I would hope that any person you're in an intimate relationship with is willing to tell you these things, because I guarantee you they know the answers. Are you man or woman enough to ask the question? If you have a business partner, if you have close friends that you've known for a long time, they know the answers too. Are you willing to ask? And are you disciplined and mentally tough enough to listen to the answers? And does that person, your business partner, your friend, your spouse, do they believe that you're mentally tough enough and disciplined enough to listen when they give you the answers? Or do they believe you're the type of person who flies off the handles and gets reactive anytime they're told anything about themselves? Therefore, they won't be willing to answer the questions even if you ask. Now, see, that's a problem that you created because you have this reputation of not being willing to hear any real talk. Therefore, that's why nobody's giving it to you. Maybe a clue. Point number 2, exercise the golden rule. Do unto others as you would have others do unto you. Do you like when people talk too much? Do you like when someone's rude to you? Do you like when people are inconsiderate? Make a list of things that people do that you really don't like, and then check yourself for doing those same things. And point number 3, start taking no for an answer. Yes, start taking no for an answer. Ladies, you probably encountered many males who have this problem, right? They don't know when to take no for an answer. They think no means try harder. Sometimes no means don't try harder, walk away. A lack of response is a response, ladies and gentlemen. People are telling you something loud and clear. You, with your lack of people skills, are just not listening. When you do something and people respond to it, they're responding. When you do something, people don't respond to it, that is a response. Read between the lines. When someone's ignoring you, they're letting you know. There's an art to this because there are times to persist. There are plenty of stories of people who persisted and became the exceptions that won. But guess what? For every one exception that you hear about, there are 999,999 rules who are not exceptions. But we don't talk about them. We don't write books about those people. We only write books about the exceptions that slip through the cracks. Most of us ain't slipping through the cracks. Right? Learn how to read between the lines. A key anti-people skill is not knowing when to walk away, to stop talking, to stop trying, to stop offering, stop commenting, stop digging yourself deeper into a hole that you are already in. The biggest people problem that many people have is not knowing that you're in a hole. So how can you fix all of this? I got a course called People Skills. It's all about developing your abilities to build relationships, build and strengthen rapport, know who to talk to, who not to talk to, know when no means keep going, know when no means walk away, and a whole lot of other things. This is a 10-module course that's all about your ability to interact, connect with, communicate with, lead other people. You can get access to that course by going to workonmygame.com/people. That is a people skills course. Again, workonmygame.com/people. Work on your game. Dre all day.